I found this bread recipe, which changed my life. Hi, I'm Freya, and this is Bye Bye UPF. I'm on a mission to reduce the amount of ultra-processed food in my diet. So today I wanted to share with you the bread recipe that has changed my life. Now that I have this recipe, I never buy short-bought bread anymore. I always make homemade bread. And that is one massive way that I have managed to reduce the amount of UPF that I'm eating. Shop-bought bread mostly contains sugars, colourings, flavourings, emulsifiers, all this stuff that it doesn't need to contain. Cutting out shop-bought stuff, shop-bought crumpets and everything was actually a real challenge for me. I knew it was hurting my stomach, and every so often I would just cave and buy crumpets and eat them anyway, and then just be in agony. And it was just really hard to resist. And then I found this bread recipe. Now, this recipe originally came from a site and a channel called Recipe Tin Eats. I'll link them below. I've adapted it slightly to suit my tastes. So yeah, you can change it up, you can add stuff, and it's just great. Thank you, Recipe Tin Eats, for this amazing, amazing recipe. Now, the best thing about this bread recipe is that it is such low effort. It's just low faff. It doesn't take a lot of effort. In order to cook this delicious crusty bread, you need a pot that goes in the oven and has a lid. I use this one. It looks a bit like a fake Le Creuset pot. I think it cost me £30 from Sainsbury's. You can get them secondhand on Facebook Marketplace, places like that. It also doesn't have to be cast iron. It can be any pot that goes in the oven and is big enough. You kind of want it to be about that big. It also doesn't have to be round. It could be an oval shape. But yeah, ideally you want a pot with a lid that goes in the oven. First off, 450 grams of flour. So you need generally, mostly white bread flour. I tend to do 400 grams of white bread flour and 50 grams of wholemeal spelt flour to add more flavour. You don't have to do that. You can do it entirely white bread flour if you want to. Next, 2 teaspoons of yeast. 2 teaspoons of instant fast actioning yeast. So technically the yeast does have an emulsifier in it, but I feel like it's such low quantities that I'm just going to ignore it for now. There might be some yeast out there that doesn't have an emulsifier. I'll let you know if I find it. Just under 2 teaspoons of salt. So table salt can be really salty because it's fine grain. So I tend to do about 1.5, 1¾ teaspoons of salt. Next, add seeds. There's no measurement, just chuck some seeds in if you like seedy bread. I think it gives it a really nice texture and a really nice flavour. So I personally add a mixture of pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and then sesame seeds. Mix all your dry ingredients together, and then it's time to add the water. You want about 450 mils of this water, of this warm water, about 44 to 48 degrees Celsius. That's sort of like kind of hot on your finger, but not too hot that it hurts. The reason you want that heat and that warmth is because you want to activate the yeast, because it's the yeast that is going to do all the good stuff in terms of making your bread. So now you've got the water ready, add it into the dry ingredients and mix it around with the end of a wooden spoon. This recipe is so forgiving that it doesn't really matter exactly how much you put in. What you're looking for is the texture. You are looking for a texture which is kind of sticky. So as you move the wooden spoon handle, you want it to look a bit like it currently looks in that video. Now it's mixed, cover it over with a damp cloth. You can literally just get a tea towel, run it under water, wring it out to get rid of most of the water, and then put it over the mixing bowl and then leave it. You can leave it for between 1 to 3 hours. I usually find that the bread is ready after about 1.5 to 2 hours myself. The amount of time it takes to become ready is going to vary a bit depending on where you are and like the ambient temperature and stuff. It will rise quicker in summer, it will take longer when it's colder. So to a certain extent, you're just going to have to get used to what it looks like, and then just keep an eye on it, adjust how long you let it sit according to the different times of year. When the bread has been resting for about an hour, this is when I would start to warm my oven. So I put the pot in the oven at 230 degrees Celsius with the lid on, and the reason you preheat the pot is because you want that inside of the pot to get really hot and wonderful. So the bread has risen. The way to tell it's ready is do a little twist to the bowl and it'll do a kind of jellyish jiggle. There might be some bubbles on the surface. Great if there are. If there's not, it's not the end of the world. It'll still taste nice if you bake it. So it's time for the easiest transfer method in the world. No shaping required, no flour required. Tear off a square of baking parchment, about this big. Take a small mixing bowl. Put the baking parchment into the small mixing bowl. You're essentially just using this as a transfer receptacle. Take your bread mix, get a spatula and scrape around the side of the bread mix. You want to knock a bit of the air out, so it's going to get smaller. Don't worry, don't panic, that's good. That's what you want. And then scoop it into the baking parchment which you have prepared and put ready in your small bowl. Now that is done, you can add some seeds on top if you want to. I like to sprinkle nigella seeds over the top of mine because it gives it really nice flavour. Now it is ready to bake. So your pot should have been warming in the oven. It should be hot now. Take the pot out the oven and then all you need to do is transfer the baking parchment and the bread dough together into the pot. So you leave them both in there. So you literally pick up the baking parchment with the bread dough on it, pop it in the pot, put the lid of the pot back on, put it back into the oven and then cook. So you cook it with the lid on for about 33-35 minutes and then take the lid off halfway through and cook it for another sort of 13-14 minutes, but you can keep an eye on the colour of it. And voila, the world's easiest crusty no-knead bread. I hope you love this recipe. I hope that you are enjoying the challenge of reducing the UPF in your diet. Let me know if you try it, let me know what you think, and hit subscribe if you want more things like this.